my prayer today is that He fills you with a passion for righteousness. Lord, my prayer today is that Jesus will guide you through every storm. Yes, every storm. Lord, every storm. This is my prayer today.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out, righteousness. Oh, welcome, everybody, to the Trust in the Lord Hour. I'm your host, James David Trusting in the Lord Manning. How is everybody doing? We're in Holy Week. That is right. We've got the resurrection coming up in just a couple of days, few days. And Good Friday is going to happen. Today's Tuesday, so Good Friday is right after Wednesday and right after Thursday. And of course, Thursday is Passover, Maundy Thursday, and the foot washing time. I've done that. I've done foot washing numerous times. And we're looking forward to having a real celebratory, if you will, week. It's been a great week. It's been a great time. I want to give God the praise as I prayed last time you and I were together for the fast that we had a week ago. I think it was quite powerful. A real blessing, and to Almighty God belongs all the glory. Now, but we do want to announce that we had Palm Sunday, and actually we had our Palm Sunday on Saturday. And I'm sitting here with my friend and partner, Isaiah. He's got his great big palm there, and he's got on his, I'd probably say his Chuck Berry suit now. I said Elvis Presley last time, Chuck Berry suit, but he's my friend. And we are we have the Maundy Thursday, which is the Jewish holiday Passover on Thursday, and then Good Friday. 7 last words of the cross are going to be spoken by 7 of the members of our church, 4 women and 3 men, and then of course there will be the Saturday worship service and the Sunday morning sunrise worship at 7 o'clock. So get yourself ready. We're going to try to live stream all of that. If you're locally here in the city, you'll try to be a part of what's happening. Now, I also want to state that, I've been promising you to read Ezra chapter 6. We're in what I want to refer today as proverbologist. And that is to say that you're going to become a specialist at Proverbs chapter 3 and some of the most crucial, most important aspects of anybody's life. And so we're calling it proverbologist. And one of the earlier teachers, we kind of referenced the fact that we've been into 63 weeks of the book of Psalms now. Psalmologist is what we say, psalmologist, proverbologist, and servantologist. And I'm not trying to be cute or anything, but I absolutely, positively believe that you can develop your life 20% beyond where you are right now. That no matter what your age, in fact, the older you are, the more apt and capable you are of developing your life 20% beyond where you are right now. In Proverbs chapter 3, it's just a daily dose. It's just the daily medicine. It's just the daily ingredient. It's just the daily word that you need to develop yourself 20% beyond where you are right now. So stay tuned. Don't leave. This is a very important lesson. In fact, I'm clear that God has allowed Solomon to visit me by way of the Holy Spirit, that I might be able to teach the book of Proverbs. As you know, I've been teaching Proverbs now for 15 years. But if you could develop your life by 20%, let's say, for instance, that at present you're 60 years old. Well, 20% of 60 is, I think, would be what? 15, there you go again, Pastor Manny. Yeah. 20% would be, okay, this is terrible. I need to develop that. Well, let's say, for instance, you want to develop, you're 60 years old and you want to increase your life to at least 95 to 100. I believe if you do things in an exponential, if you will, calculated, graded way, 20% more added to your life would get you to 100 degrees in a breeze, 100 years old in a breeze. Now, it'll get you there in one breeze to 100 years old with good health, good days, strength. And so it's very important that you listen to me. And I'm convinced that the members of Atla, that do not be dismayed about your health issues. By developing your life by 20% increase, and we're going to do that through the power of what Solomon has taught us, you'll be better able to serve. And if you could perhaps move past some of the present status of your life, you could move past the thing that makes you sick. Let's say, for instance, you live in a neighborhood where there's crime or there's bad air or there's just, and so you're more likely to die. But if you could move to another neighborhood where the air is good and there's less crime and there's better restaurants, better food, you're more likely to live. Well, that's what 20% will do if you can move from the present spiritual neighborhood you're in right now. Now, please listen to me. I'm going to read Ezra 6 for you today. But please listen to me. If you can move 20% to a spiritual neighborhood, now, caution, sometimes you may have to cut loose family and friends, associates, and those of a culture. And I'm going to teach you also how to, in this lesson, how to not be afraid and how to rebuke and defeat bad habits. All that's coming in the lesson today. All that's coming. All that's coming. But I want to encourage you to move to a spiritual 20% better neighborhood spiritually in your life. And you don't have to leave your present address or your community, your neighborhood, but spiritually you're going to move. Please listen to me. This is very important because you want length of days and you want long life. You want favor. You want all those things that Solomon promises that we're going to get. So now, having said that, let me ask the engineer to bring up, first of all, I'm going to bring up Proverbs, and after that, I'm going to read, I told you I'm going to read Ezra 6, I'm going to read it. But I have been in Proverbs chapter 3 for 15 years. And what it has done to my life is phenomenal. I could write an encyclopedia about the growth, about the if you will, contact with God, access to God. His name is Jesus, through prayer, the divine protection. Now, the Lord hasn't moved me out of Harlem because this is the place he wants to come. Jesus wants to move into Harlem himself. It's called Atla. I said it's called Atla. Jesus is planning to move here himself on his last and second coming, or second and last coming. But it's Proverbs chapter 3 that I want to help you to understand, will help you develop your life spiritually 20%. And by that, spiritually, I mean economically, financially, health-wise, otherwise. A 20% increase. And here is the key. Proverbs chapter 3. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. These are the commandments of God, and Solomon is writing. For length, now if you want to have long life, length of days and long life, I didn't have the time to do a full study today because a lot of things are going on. As you very well know, I'm getting ready now to go into court as a lawyer against 9 other lawyers, a jury, and a judge. And so I'm preparing myself to grow by at least 30 to 40% to meet that obligation. So I got a lot on my so-called assignment plate today, but I'm good to go. But I was thinking about, and I didn't do the research, Moses was one of the last persons in the Bible that lived at least 120 years. Moses was 40 years first in Egypt, 40 years first in the wilderness, and 40 years in the wilderness with the children of Israel, 120 years all total. What I wanted to do research on in terms of length of days. Now, length of days, Solomon writes, length of days and long life is that you have good, strong days that are healthy days, and a long life means lots of years and peace within those years, even in the midst of a storm. That Moses was one of the last. And he lived longer than David. Moses lived longer than David. He lived longer than Solomon. So I'm trying to see if he's the last of those who crossed over into 120 years of living. I'll have to check that out. But that's what you want. And by the way, if you can move from your present status right now physically, you could also probably dump some of your sicknesses. That's right. You would probably be sick because of your present status in life. And your life is shortened by the fact that you live in a particular spiritual place. I'll come back to that. You want to increase. You want to increase. So you're going to become a proverbologist. Remember, I told you that you're going to become a specialist at mastering long life and length of days. All right. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Whatever you do, tell yourself the truth. Whatever you do, don't start deluding, and lying to yourself. You got to be out your mind. Just make sure, even if you don't tell anybody else the truth, don't lie to yourself. And whatever you do, don't lie to Almighty God. And if you lie to yourself, you're literally lying to your soul. Tell yourself the truth. And if you don't know the truth, come hear Pastor Manning preach, and he'll preach a sermon, I guarantee you, that will tell you the truth about yourself. He don't even know your name. You sit up in the church, Pastor Manning don't know your name. But if you come, he'll preach the truth. Now, you may not like it. Anyway, verse 4, so shalt thou find favor. Now, that's what you want. You want favor. You want people to just like you sight unseen. You want people to, the moment you walk in the room, it doesn't matter whether you're black or white or chartreuse, you want people to like you, want to give to you. You want people, but when people see you, they don't even know who you are, but they want to do things for you. They want to give to you. They want to support you. Now, of course, you can have your enemies. There's no doubt about that. But you don't want to just have all enemies or indifferent people. You want to find favor and good understanding. So you want to become a proverbologist is what you want to do. I'm going to come back to that. And good understanding, the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. You know, I'm going to tell you something. I was praying this morning, and I told the Lord, I said, I'm going in that courtroom down there on Foley Square in the Southern District, U.S. District Court, Southern District, right down there where Donald Trump and everybody is at, in the court section of area of New York City, the Southern District. I'm going down there in that federal court building. I'm going down there, and I'm going to stand up in that courtroom before that judge and before those 9 lawyers. We're going to sit at a table. I'm going to sit there before Eric Adams, the mayor, and Robin Vance, the president of Mellon Bank. I'm going down there, and I'm going to win. I'm going to defeat them. How I'm going to do it? I told the Lord, I'm trusting you, because I know you can defeat them. I can't wait to get down there in court and whip this $70 million lawsuit we got against the Mellon Bank, the city of New York. I can't wait to whip that $70 million. And I'm going, all them lying lawyers with their Harvard education and wherever else they've done and whatever else they've done and all the money they make and the $2,000 an hour they charge. I'm going down there in the name of the Lord. I'm going down. I told the Lord this morning, I'm going down there. And then I told the Lord, I said, I can do this, and I can't wait to do it. I'm anxious about doing it. I'm getting it. So trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, he shall help your paths, or help you make the right decisions. He shall direct your path. That He's the Lord will help you make the right decision, keep you out of the wrong places. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, depart from evil. And it shall be neighbor to thy health, rather to thy neighbor. You want to get healthy. You want to get healthy. You want to get healthy. You want to be healthy. Now, I'm doing pretty good. I'm borderline high blood. I don't have high blood pressure, but borderline. The doctor said, I was just down there to see him the other day, and he said, well, if you don't watch yourself, you can be a candidate for that. But otherwise, heart's good, beats, all that stuff is good. What do you call it? Cholesterol, that's good, and all of that. And he said, you're fat, you're obese, you need to lose some weight. And he said, you need to walk 2 miles a day. I said, Doc, whoa. I said, don't be calling me obese, man. I know there's people a whole lot fatter than me. He said, no, I'm not boasting. God knows I am not boasting. I know how fragile the health is. I know how fragile it is. I know. And I used to walk more than 2 miles a day. I'm going to start doing it again. But things are good. I told the Lord this morning, I said, you've given me a healthy body and a healthy mind, and I'm good to go. I'm going down there to that courtroom, and I was talking to the Lord this morning. I'm sharing a little bit with you. But the word of God shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. And verse 9, so you're going to become a proverbologist, is that right? Now, I'm going to read Ezra number 6. I said, Pastor Man, just read it, shut up. Okay, all right, I'll take that from you. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thine increase. I had a little money put aside a few years ago for retirement. I don't plan to retire. So I took as much of that money out of that retirement plan I could, and I gave it to the Lord. I just gave it to the church. It's nearly $200,000. I just gave it to the church. It wasn't much, but as I said, I'm just giving it to the Lord. I ain't retired, and I'm just going to honor the Lord with and all my increase, every time, my first fruits into my increase. And I told y'all the last time I was praying together that I'm able to, one of the reasons why I'm dealing in pretty good health these days is because I'm the pastor of people who don't give me no flack. They love me. They help me. They give when they can. They give what they can. And they follow me through thick and thin. Things they understand, things they don't understand, they just stick with Pastor Manning. Well, I don't get worried or sick. But the other thing is that I give to the Lord all that I have, I give it, my increase, and my barns are filled with plenty good people. And my presses shall burst open with new wine. So I'm going to try a new brand of wine from now on. And here's the thing the Lord showed me the other year, that my son despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. Now, that Lord showed me that for whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father, the son in whom he delighteth. The Lord showed me that my gift, my calling, was to rebuke people. I never thought about that as a gift. I know Paul in Corinthians and also in Ephesians, he lists the gifts, the apostleship, the teacher, the psalmist. Paul lists all those gifts. But I didn't know that being able to chasten people, and God sent me to chasten the Hamites. And to you, it might look like an almost impossible job to turn the Hamite people around from being the kind of people they are to being the people that God, his name is Jesus, when he comes back, is going to want to come back and live among. But I know I can do it. And so, first of all, I got to correct them. I got to get them out of that crazy civil rights, crazy racism, worship of black. Everything is black. Everything about black, it ain't right. Got to get them out of that and then tell them the truth that they ain't never done nothing. And the reason why they ain't never done nothing, everybody on the planet has done something except them, is because God won't let them do it. But God has sent me to anoint them that they might be able to be great builders, etc. Now, they don't want to hear that message. They want to hear, you're good, you're going to be good, and all of that. They want to hear the white man's your problem. And that's what they love to hear. They're like junkies to worshiping black. and believing that the white man's holding them down. And they like, white man ain't holding black people down. God's the one holding them down. So now I wanted to be able to say that to you because, then I'm going to go through last time you and I were together, we went through, let's see now, to teach you now to specialize like in certain things, specialize in how to live long, etc. I think we went through long life, specializing in favor, and we stopped at wisdom and good understanding. When I'm come back to help you understand how to specialize in wisdom and good understanding, but I'm going to finally read Ezra 6 because if I don't read it now, I ain't going to never read it. You're going to find a couple of good things in Ezra 6 that he's going to during the day of the Passover, during the week of the Passover, and that's why I want to read it because we're in the week of the Holy Week now. So, Mr. Engineer, please bring up Ezra number 6, and let me start my reading, I think, at verse 13. If you could do that, it's where I want to get started. And what we then finally can get this. Ezra and Nehemiah, I have told the engineer, Captain Elijah, over the next few weeks, while I'm going to be studying law, I'm going to be reading the laws, and I'm going to be taking some time off to play and rebroadcast all of the Ezra and Nehemiah teachings because people need to see that Ezra was the second richest man that ever walked on planet Earth because God gave him all that gold and all that silver, all that badger skin dyed red, all that purple, if you will, wool and the cedar wood, the shittim wood, the gold loops and the cups and the seraphims and all that Solomon once had as his. Nebuchadnezzar took it to Babylon. And then God gave it to Ezra, and Ezra went back and built the temple, rebuilt the temple that Solomon built because Nebuchadnezzar had torn it down 70 years earlier. It's mighty. The Lord knows I've been teaching the Bible for 40 years, and I'll tell you the truth. I am myself impressed with Ezra and Nehemiah. But at any rate, so verse 13 of Ezra, we'll pick up the reading right here. It says that in this verse, that then Tataniah, the governor on the side of the Euphrates River, and Sheth-Bozenah and their companions, according to that which Darius the king had sent, so they did speedily. Now these two creeps were saying to Ezra, who told you to build this temple? And who gave you the permission to do it? They were just little old, tin horn, if you will, governors, but they didn't have much power, not like Darius or Cyrus in Babylon. Verse 14, and the elders of the Jews build, and they prospered through the prophesying. Now, Haggai, if you know Haggai and the prophet in the book, and Zechariah, the son of Edu, and they build and finished it according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king. And the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites, and the rest of the children of the captivity kept the dedication of this house of God with joy, and offered on the dedication this house of God 100 bullocks and 100 rams and 100 lambs for a sin offering. For all Israel, 12 he-goats, and according to the number of the tribes. And they set the priests in their divisions and the Levites in their courses for the service of God, which is at Jerusalem, as written in the book of Moses. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover. And this is the verse I want to point up, because we're in the season of the Passover now. Actually, right here now, we're in the season of the Passover. It's going to be 2 days from now, which will be in our day, Thursday. And then after Thursday, Jesus, see, the reason why Jesus, well, not the reason why Jesus, but Jesus was crucified because he came down from the north country into Jerusalem to keep the Passover. Everybody had to make it from Jerusalem, for wherever you lived in Israel, to Jerusalem for the Passover. He came for the Passover. He rode into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. Well, a few days later, the Passover is when he kept the Passover. And after that, night of the Passover, the next day he was crucified. And the children of the captivity, that's one who had been in Babylon, kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. Now, the first month is called Nisan in the Jewish tongue. And so they kept it on the 14th day. So we're looking now, today, it's going to be this month. The month of April in the Jewish calendar is called Nisan. Now, they kept it on the 14th day, but I think this is the 4th, 5th. It'll be the 6th day this year, but the calendar is kind of, from biblical times to present. Verse 20, for the priests and the Levites were purified together. All of them were pure and killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity and for their brethren, their priests. And so now let me say this to you as well, that the Passover, the theology behind the Passover goes all the way back to the night in Egypt, where God told the elders, and Moses told the elders to kill a lamb of the first year without spot or without blemish, and sprinkle the blood of the lamb on the doorpost. And when the death angel comes that night, if he sees the blood of the lamb on the doorpost, he will pass over that house. In any house that does not have the blood of the lamb, he was going to kill the firstborn. The firstborn was going to kill. Now listen, it's very careful. It's very important as we become proverbologists and developing our lives 20% beyond where we are right now. And you're going to love, if you got to listen to the teachings that I've done on Ezra and Nehemiah going back a month now, at least 3 times. You're going to start talking in tongues. I'm telling you that, and walk in the flow, and walk in water rather. But the Passover, so that Jesus went to Jerusalem for the express purpose of being the lamb that will be killed, and his blood will cause the death to pass over us in a spiritual sense. That's why he went. That's why he went not in the middle of the month or the middle of the year, some other year, the month of Adar. No, Jesus went to Jerusalem, rode in on that donkey on Palm Sunday, so he could be the lamb that will be slain without spot and without blemish. And that's that. So he becomes the Passover for all of us. So we have to understand. And a lot of times, I see people trying to make Jesus black and saying he was black and he was this and he was. Jesus was the suffering lamb of the Jewish tradition of the Passover, going all the way back to Egypt, where the Jewish religion got started. Both the Passover got started in Egypt, and the resurrection theology got started. Now, the pyramids were built for the purpose of the resurrection of the pharaohs. And the sister Lynn White down there in Alabama, Lynette White rather, that teaching, she wanted to get the whole teaching. I did a teaching a couple of years ago about the power. The Jewish religion really got started in Egypt with the Passover. And it's this most sacred, most holy day in the Jewish religion is the Passover. And the resurrection also got started, which happens after Passover, got started in Egypt as well with the pyramids, because the pyramids were built for the purpose that the Pharaoh was put in a tomb and then he was resurrected. That's not my teaching today, but it's a teaching I did a couple of years ago, but it's still valid. So you have to understand, Jesus is the Passover lamb. His blood covers us from or at least cleanses us of our sins. We have to understand that about Jesus. So they killed the Passover, all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren, the priests, and for themselves. So that's why Jesus was crucified. He is the Passover lamb. And that's why he was in town for that particular day. Now, I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to take a bit of a break. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to go through the other 4 or 5 segments of proverbologists and servantologists that's going to help you increase your life by 20%. We're living in a dangerous time. You need the covering of God. Have you seen what's going on in this tribulation period? Have you seen what's going on politically? Have you seen what's going on with all the trannies and drag queens and all of the school shootings and all of the violence? Have you seen and that's just what you were able to see. Lord knows there's a whole lot more that you don't know. So you need to be covering the Word of God. You need, so this is very important that we become proverbologists. Otherwise, I wouldn't be alive today. But I'm going to let you, I'm very, very, very godly proud of our school. Some of our students had a career day the other day here in the school. And some of the young people made a declaration about what they're going to do when they grow up. So I'm just very proud, like a proud father. And I've been running this school now for nearly 30 years. And so some of the young people had something to say. I'm going to let you listen to that, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to wrap up this lesson today about your 20% increase.
When I grow up, I want to be a surgeon. I want to be a surgeon to help people. I want to be a doctor because I want to help people get well.
I would like to be a soccer player because that is my passion.
I want to grow up and open my own restaurant.
Okay.
I want to own my own bakery when I get older and travel, so I would like to branch out. Hopefully one of my bakeries is stationed in France and Italy.
I'm the president of Mali, and I would like to make Mali a better place.
Today, I'm an orthopedic, but in the future, I would like to own a hospital on my own.
In the future, I would like to be a civil engineer. For those of you who don't know, it falls under the branch of architecture.
I'm a designer, so I can make good clothes for everybody. And I'll make my own clothes, so I won't have to buy other people's clothes.
I'm a fashion designer, and I like to create clothing that makes people happy.
I overlook employees' work, what they're doing, where they're going. In international business, you travel all over the world, doing business deals, advertising your company. I do that.
What I want to be as an engineer, specifically, I want to run a company that's half technical engineering and the other half will be structural engineering.
A video designer imagines almost everything about a game, including its plots, characters, visual designs, and layout.
I want to be a linguist because I want to learn different languages and just translate for different people.
Be a technician because it will be a fun experience and it will be a lot of fun.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A firefighter.
Why do you want to be a firefighter?
Because they put out fires in the city.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A fireman.
Why do you want to be a firefighter?
Because they got fire. I want to be an artist when I grow up.
Why do you want to be an artist?
So I can make beautiful pictures.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a cooker.
Okay, you want to be a cook? Why do you want to be a cook?
Because I can cook stuff.
Broadway critic, as I said, what a critic is. Broadway, yeah, I go to the show, watch it, I read the playbill. It's a book and it has information about what the play is about.
despair. Know the Lord's made a way. He has brought you thus far. Go forth in the name of the Lord. For the battle belongs to the Lord. Yes, the battle belongs to the Lord. When you can't sleep at night, just hold on to the light. Know the battle belongs to Him. Oh, the battle belongs to the Lord. Yes, the battle belongs to the Lord. Oh, the battle belongs to the Lord. Yes, the battle belongs to the Lord. Yes, the battle belongs to our Lord. Yes, the battle belongs to the Lord. When you can't sleep at night, just hold on to the light. Now the battle belongs to Him. The battle belongs to Him. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. The battle belongs to Him. I know the battle belongs to Him. Yes, we praise Your holy name.
All right, so it's Holy Week, everybody, and we're going to be in worship on this Friday at 12 noon for the 7 sayings from the cross, or the 7 last words, that is commonly known. And then, of course, at 7 o'clock on Sunday morning will be the sunrise worship service as well. And so we, of course, are enjoying this biblical festive time. But on the other side of the river is some very tumultuous times that are tribulation type times, and they're very difficult. But God has set me in order to make you proverbologists. Now, I'm not trying to be cute or fancy with my words or anything like that. I'm quite serious, and I'm using the term proverbologist because if you obey the Proverbs, chapter 3 in particular, you're going to be a person of wisdom and of good understanding. God's going to help you make every right decision. And you're going to find favor with God and with man. You're going to be healthy. You're going to have length of days. I don't care how sick you are now. If you can increase your life by 20%, you can decrease your sickness by maybe 70%. Are you following what I'm saying? If you can increase your life spiritually by 20%, you can decrease the sickness that you have right now by 80%. That means it'll just all be gone. It's very important that you hear what I'm saying. It's very important. And so I have called you proverbologists because I want to teach you how to specialize in the things of Proverbs chapter 3. As a cardiologist specializes in the heart. As a urologist, it specializes in a lot of problems that men have. You follow. And so I want to teach you to become a proverbologist and specializing in the key and important aspects of your life to give God, his name is Jesus, the glory. So last time you and I were together, I taught you how to be a specialist in developing long life. We went through that. I'm going to move right on. And then I taught you on how to develop favor, how to just be liked by people. Now, you're going to have enemies, there's no doubt, but that's not what I'm teaching you. You want to have favor with God and with, David had a lot of enemies, but the thing that was key is that he had favor with God and with man. So what I'm going to do now is move to number 3 of your proverbologist lesson here today, and to teach you how to have wisdom and good understanding. You need to be able to learn how to think clearly. Now, one of the things that you gotta, wisdom is one thing. Let me put it to you this way, write this down. That wisdom is just knowing the right things to do, or knowing that you can find the right things to do at the right moment. That's wisdom. Wisdom stands on the street corner and calls out to its people or to its adherents every day. And even if you don't know, but you believe that wisdom will assist you. You believe that wisdom will assist you. Wisdom. And then once you have demonstrated once wisdom has assisted you in an area of decision making or life that you have not encountered before, you will remember that, you will store it away, and you will use it time and time and time again. And it can be interchangeable with other items that come up in your life where you can apply that same principle of wisdom to be able to help you to move from one place to the other. You see. And so that wisdom helps you. For instance, I was teaching you about patience and about the people that are close to you, give them more patience. The people that are far from you, give them less patience. But understanding helps you to begin to look at the fact that there are things that God does not want you to do, and you need to understand it. There are things that God does not want you to do. Now, sometimes the Lord will actually have to hog tie you. Now, hog ties are where they use down there in North Carolina. They're talking about them Poland China hogs. Y'all know about Poland China? Yeah, well, you ain't never been to China, North Carolina. You ain't never been to Rennet either, or Panthers Ford, or Bowie, or Red Springs. But when sometimes the Lord has to hog tie you, that is to say that there are things that you were going to do them, but God stopped you from doing them. And you have to have the understanding to know that I shouldn't be doing this. And I'm thankful, I want to do it, but I know I shouldn't be doing it. Let's say, for instance, you're a 19-year-old boy and you want to do something crazy. Let's say you want to argue with your father. You want to hit your father. No, we don't want to hear from you today. You want to hear from you want to fight your father. You want to disobey your father, right? And see, understanding is God will stop you and you'll say, as bad as I want to do it, I want to tell my father to take a long walk off it because he don't know what he's talking about. But understanding will teach you to say, but no, that is not the right thing to do. As much as I passionately want to do it, it's wrong. That's understanding. And all that getting, my brother, get understanding. And you'll do that. Solomon writes, my son, be not wise in thine own understanding. Be not wise in thy own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him. And that if you follow the law of God, you'll have good favor. You have favor and good understanding with God and with man. So that's number 3. I'm coming back to that one, though. Number 4 is making right decisions. Let me just back up a couple. There'll be times as well where no matter how bad you wanted to do something, you thought if you didn't do it, your life would come to an end. But you are wise enough to know that I should not do this. I just shouldn't do it. No understanding is you want to do it and you do it. You know it's wrong and you do it. You ain't got no understanding. In fact, just the opposite of wisdom is a fool. And you do it. You know you shouldn't do it, but you do it anyhow. You are a fool and you have no understanding. You see? So I'll clear that up now. No point in waiting to come back to that a little bit later on. Making right decisions. Now, I preached in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 4 and 5, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Well, if you can just interpret the word direct your paths, now you're going to become a proverbologist. You're going to specialize in good understanding, long life. You're going to specialize in favor. You're going to specialize in wisdom. And you're going to specialize in making good decisions. And overall, you're going to specialize by increasing your life by 20%. That sickness that you have will decrease by 80%. You'll be 80% less sick when you increase your life by 20% as a proverbologist. Now, I'm using the word proverbologist not because I'm trying to be cute or fancy or this, that, and the other, or so I got some kind of education. That ain't what I'm trying to do. Not at all. And I pray that you know that I'm not. But you want to be able to make the right decisions. And if you trust God, if you trust the Lord, if you trust him, he will help you make the right decisions. And my friends, I'll tell you, there's times in your days when you're going to need to make 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10 decisions per day. And one bad decision, just one bad decision can destroy you for the rest of your life. Just one bad decision can destroy you for the rest of your life. I'm telling you. So you want to make the right decisions. Now, you're going to make some bad ones, and you probably have made some bad ones, but as of today and as of this teaching, you want to trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not to thine own understanding, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. He shall help you make the right decisions, because you don't want to make no more bad ones. You're going to become a proverbologist. You're going to become a right decisionologist. You're going to become a wisdom and understandingologist. You're going to become a long life and health of days-ologist. You're going to become a favorologist. These are the kinds of things that are going to be a part of the essence of who you are, if not the dominance of who you are. Not just the essence, but the dominance of who you are. And we're going to learn this from Solomon. And he's, as you know, the world's wisest man. So that was number what? Number 4. Number 5, we got 7 of them here. Number 5 is humble prayer defeating fear and bad habits. Now, I have to tell you that the fear is something that is common, and it's something can be used in a positive way if you fear God. And the more you fear God, the least you will fear man. The more you fear God, you could just flip the switch. Fear God, the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. The more you fear God, the more you fear him, the less you will fear any man. You know, I'm out here now. I've been out here for the Lord. I've been out here for 40 years. I have. I've been out here for 40 years talking about, I ain't got nobody else I can go to. I can't go to the president. You know, and I've been out here with the Lord. If God don't see me through, I ain't going to make it. I know that. If the Lord don't fight the battle, I ain't going to win. If the Lord don't keep the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. Elder Butler, you hear that? The watchman waketh but in vain. I know that. Say, Pastor Manley, why don't you get some of the politicians and everybody? Cool down on some of that talk. You always talking about black folk ain't never done nothing. Cool down on that, man. Get with some of the politicians, pick up some of that money they got and pick up some of that power that they got and everything and have yourself a good life right here on earth. Man, you done lost your mind. You better get away from me. You done lost your mind. All I have is the Lord. I fear him. Lord knows if God removes just one hair from my head, forget about it. I'm going to tell you something. Now I'm going to talk to you. If you want to learn how to break bad habits and fear God and not man, if the Lord, and I ain't got a lot of, well, I got a lot of hair, but I just got a big head. I took a picture with Emerald the other day. I was sitting in the chair. You know Emerald, the little baby, 6-month-old baby, Emerald, the 6-month-old baby. I took a picture with her the other day. She was on my chest. I said, doggone, I got a big head. Pastor, man, you got a big head. I do. So I got a lot of hair. I just don't have enough hair to cover all my head. So, but if the Lord took just one hair off my head, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what. I need the Lord. I'm telling you something. I'm going to tell you what the Lord loves. I'm scared of him. Now I'm scared if the Lord, I know if the Lord withdraws from me, I'm toast. It's all over with. It's all over with. I know that. So now I ain't scared of no man. I don't care who you are. You can be president. You can be Uncle Dent. You can be Mr. Dent. You can be Dent Trent. I ain't scared of you. No, sir. It's the Lord. And you have to have a humble prayer, defeating fear and bad habits. Listen, I didn't finish up. I got 2 more. I got number 6 and number 7 I got to do, but I don't have time to do it right now. I'm coming back to the proverbologist. I finally read Ezra number 6, but I got to go. But I wanted you to listen to Brother Bob Jackson from down in Tennessee. I want y'all to hear him, and then I want y'all to see the students from our school, and maybe we'll hear from Minister Holnaker as well, and we can get all that in. I need to let other people speak. I need to let other people minister. Minister Holnaker needs to minister. He's a minister now. I need to let him minister. But listen to Bob Jackson.
To lift us up from off the ground, to bring the proud and mighty down, to heal our hearts when we don't understand. Yes, he's big enough to prophesy the future. Yes, he's big enough to cleanse the darkest sin, to stop the pain, to pay the price, to make the perfect sacrifice, that though we die, that we can live again. Yes, he's big enough. Yes, he's big enough.
When I grow up, I want to be a surgeon. I want to be a surgeon to help people. I want to be a doctor because I want to help people get well.
I would like to be a soccer player because that is my passion.
I want to grow up and open my own restaurant.
Okay. I want to own my own bakery when I get older and travel, so I would like to branch out. Hopefully one of my bakeries is stationed in France and Italy.
I'm the president of Mali, and I would like to make Mali a better place.
Today, I'm an orthopedic, but in the future, I would like to own a hospital on my own.
In the future, I would like to be a civil engineer. For those of you who don't know, it falls under the branch of architecture.
I'm a designer, so I can make good clothes for everybody. And I'll make my own clothes, so I won't have to buy other people's clothes.
I'm a fashion designer, and I like to create clothing that makes people happy.
I overlook employees' work, what they're doing, where they're going. In international business, you travel all over the world, doing business deals, advertising your company. I do that.
What I want to be as an engineer specifically, I want to run a company that's half technical engineering and the other half will be structural engineering.
A video game designer imagines almost everything about a game, including its plots, characters, visual designs, and layout.
I want to be a linguist because I want to learn different languages and just translate for different people.
Be a technician because it will be a fun experience and it will be a lot of math.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Firefighter.
Why do you want to be a firefighter?
Because they put out fires and they fill the city.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A fireman.
Why do you want to be a firefighter?
Because they got fun. I don't know if an artist when I grow up.
Why do you want to be an artist?
So I can make beautiful pictures.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a cooker.
Okay, you want to be a cook? Why do you want to be a cook?
Because I can cook stuff.
Broadway critic, as I said, what a critic is. Broadway, yeah, hopefully. I go to the show, watch it. I read the playbill. It's over there. It's a book and it has information about what the play is about.
Jesus, will you take my hand? Because I don't understand. I don't know which way to go. A lot of things that I just don't know. Jesus, will you take my hand? Because
I'm the Lord's servant. I'm asking now is to give truth a chance. All I've ever told anybody is the truth. Now, just because you didn't understand it doesn't mean it's not true. And I'm asking people to give truth a chance.
All around, you hear the lies being told from the top. Every time you turn around, it just don't seem to stop. When you're ready to move far beyond that same old dance, all you gotta do is listen, yeah, and give truth a chance.
Give truth a chance.
Everybody,
Give truth a chance.
come on and sing it.
Give truth a chance. Give truth a chance.
I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. Welcome, everybody, to the Manning Report. I'm Manning, and we've got blue skies here today in the Big Apple. Today is the 4th of April, the year of 2023. It's a infamous or infamy historic day because former President Donald John Tribulation Trump will be arraigned in a New York courtroom on the 15th floor at 100 Center Street here in New York City in about an hour and 15 minutes. I've got a large number of things I want to say about that, that arraignment taking place at this time. I'm very concerned. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not here in support of Trump. I'm not here. Well, let me put it this way. Almighty God spoke to me some time ago and said that he was the trigger of the tribulation. So these events that are taking place are certainly to be understood as being tumultuous and incendiary and warlike and revolution-like as well. But in that process, Almighty God has allowed Tribulation Trump to be brought into New York City 2 days before the Passover. In just a couple of days, we're going to celebrate the Jewish Passover. And the day after that will be Good Friday for us that are Christians. And 2 days after that will be the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, my concern is this, and I do not question the will of God. First of all, that this should not be taking place during Holy Week. Trump should not be arrested during Holy Week. It smacks too much like Jesus being arrested in Jerusalem on Holy Week. That's very, very troubling. Now, I've been listening to ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and everybody else. Now, I've not heard anybody make mention to the fact that this is Holy Week. But to bring Trump to an arraignment court trial, or at least an arraignment proceeding of a criminal nature during Holy Week smacks too much about his now having the opportunity, those that are his supporters going forward, to liken him to Jesus Christ, who was also arrested during Holy Week. I can't argue with it. I just want to express my concern that it is too close. And then, Tribulation Trump stated 2 weeks ago he would be arrested on Tuesday. That was 2 weeks ago, back in March. That arrest did not take place. But he is being arrested on Tuesday, in the Tuesday of Holy Week, 2 days before the Passover. So, well, at least it's Holy Week. Some people have different ideas about Passover, but it's Holy Week. It is the same week. We as Christians, not to try to upstage Jewish theology, but we as Christians see this entire week from Palm Sunday that happened just a couple of days ago to Resurrection Sunday, which will happen a few days from now, as one contiguous Holy Week. And to arrest him is like having Alvin Bragg, who is the district attorney for Manhattan County, will be the high priest, where Jesus stands before the high priest on the night he is arrested, and he's questioned as to whether or not he says he is the Son of God or not. He's slapped, and he says very little, and he's taken off to prison. It's too similar, my brothers and my sisters. But I'm not going to argue with the Lord. What I will say is that Tribulation Trump is not Jesus. He is just the opposite. However, if one wanted to make an argument for those who don't know the true calling of Tribulation Trump in the period of the tribulation what we now have, can lead a lot of people to bringing Trump to sainthood. He ain't no saint. Now, he ain't nobody's saint. I can tell you that right now. He's a servant of Satan above all things else. But I have to tell you that we are, tonight he's going back down to, tonight he's going back down to Mar-a-Lago, which will be his Garden of Gethsemane. And he's going to make a speech there in Mar-a-Lago, which will be his Garden of Gethsemane. So, my friends, I I don't argue with the Lord. I don't argue with him. I just do his bidding. A lot of people don't like what I say, and a lot of people don't believe what I say, and a lot of people can't see the fulfillment of it, the fullness of what I say. But I always speak accurately, as accurate as the eagles are 6 miles above the earth. A lot of people can't see it like the eagle can see it, but I can tell you this. He is the trigger of the tribulation. Now, there's one thing that I want to caution everybody about, that while D.A. Bragg is now the high priest, and he's going to bring him before the judge, I suppose Pilate, who is going to be Judge Mershon, who's going to preside over the trial. But I will say to everyone that the issue here is whether or not Trump has the physical stamina, the health-wise. My concern in reading of this whole matter is that he doesn't have the health to go the distance, because Fannie Willis is coming at him in just a few days, and Jack Smith is coming at him as well, and Letitia James, who's the Attorney General for the state of New York. So I don't know that he has the health to go the distance, but it is a fiasco here. It is a zoo here in New York City downtown on Hogan Place and Center Street, in the courthouse district of New York, down near the mayor's office, near Chambers Street. It is a zoo down there with all those people, reporters. You got Trump supporters. Marjorie Taylor Greene was down there by herself. Nobody came with her. She got up and made a statement. And Lion George Santos was down there too, but they chased him out of there. You got Trump supporters on one side and anti-Trump people. It is a zoo here in New York City today. And I don't know whether Trump is getting pretty late, whether Trump has departed to actually go to the reading of the indictment. I think that I'm not sure his health is as well as it is, and this is a very troubling time. I can tell you this, I've been in a lot of courtrooms. I was in a courtroom where I was sentenced to 10 years. I was just a boy, and I was sentenced to 10 years in prison. That was not an easy day to get up and go to that courtroom. I tell you that, going to court is not an easy day, and I said in my 55-page complaint against the city of New York and the Mellon Bank, where I'm suing them for $70 million, and I'm going to win, that I'll vomit before going to court. Going to court is not an easy thing to do. And I've been to court, and I was sentenced to 3 years in prison. I've been to court, and I've heard the judge say that our property now belongs to the bank. They ain't gonna never get it. It really doesn't belong to the judge. And I fought that tooth and nail. But I think one of the things that you want to be concerned about is going to be Trump's health, whether he is going to be able to make it through this ordeal, because he's got a lot of court cases, or he's going to be in court with E. Jean Carroll, who is suing him in a defamation suit. She accused him of raping her going back some 30 years ago or so. But as the reports are right now, Trump is in his SUV, and he's on his way downtown, a 4-mile drive downtown to the courthouse to be arraigned. But those are the things I wanted to be able to say to you initially today. And I wanted to be able to say to you, this is just too close. But I'm not arguing with the Lord that he let this happen on Holy Week, but I can tell you this. This is going to spark religious fervor among the Trump supporter, that he is like Jesus, arrested, tried, and crucified on Holy Week. Well, let me clearly make it clear before I leave you. He is not a saint. He ain't Jesus. He serves Satan. Let me be clear. Let me be clear about what I can be clear about. Now, that does not mean that Joe Biden and Camelback ain't Black Harris and Black Lives Matter and all that other crowds serve Jesus. They serve the devil too. That's right. In fact, they serve the son of the devil, who is Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama. That's who they serve. And God said to me years ago that Obama was the son of Satan and Trump is the servant of Satan. We're in now the rhyme tribulation. I'll give you more updates when Trump finally arrives at the courthouse and he's fingerprinted and they bring him out on the 15th floor. But for right now, I'm going to take a break and I'll be right back. But he's on his way now down to the courthouse. Let me just say this. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not a Democrat. Definitely ain't that. I'm not a Republican. Sure enough, stomped on ain't that. I'm not a liberal. Ain't gonna never be. And I'm not a conservative. I'm not that. I'm not a red boy or a blue boy. I'm the Lord's servant. Listen, I'm not here in support of Joe Biden and Camelback Hank Black Harris. The last thing on the planet Earth would be I'd be supporting them. I'm not. I don't have anything kind to say about them. I'm not here in support of Trump or any of the Trump supporters. I'm the Lord's servant. I ain't on nobody's side. I'm on the Lord's side. Let's be clear. All right, they'll be calling me a Biden supporter and I done flipped the wig and this, that, and the other. I did endorse Trump. I'll admit that. I did, but not now.
And as of right now, you are a dangerous man. You've got a master's degree in theology and truth. And it's not to say that they had it all figured out, but you have a master's degree in truth. They want you silent. If they can do it one way, get you diabetes, get you cancer, and get you to die off.
You think they'd try that?
Pardon?
You think they would try injecting me with cancer or diabetes or something of that nature?
Well, that's eventually how they want you to fall off. They don't want to get caught pulling too many bodies out of a certain area at one time. That's why they're setting up the generation gaps so one generation can't communicate with the other.
Good morning, Mrs. Manning. This is John Kaminsky in Florida. I have some bad news. Just what you need, more bad news, right? I've been dismissed from my position at speakfreeradio.com, and I've spent a lot of time trying to put together an alternative way to conduct an interview. I think Pastor Manning is an exemplary human being, and I want to help him, but I'm not sure I can help him. What I've come up with is he needs to talk to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, for all his flaws and connections, he would be more apt to give you the impact that you need. I'm just now an unemployed renegade who likes honest human beings, which is why I like your husband. But it's become too difficult a proposition. I arranged an alternative way to do it, but in thinking about it, I can't provide the impact that he needs to deal with the problem that he expressed in that YouTube I just watched. So I want to thank you for your kindness and your mission. I want to wish you the best of luck, but I'm not the guy to help you as much as I would like to. Thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry for all the confusion. My life is pretty confused as well, just like yours. Thanks again. Good luck. God be with you.
All right, as I'm reporting now, Trump is on his way. The motorcade is on its way. They've shut down the entire East River Drive, FDR Drive, and going down the drive to the area near the Brooklyn Bridge is completely shut down of traffic. So traffic here in New York is going to be snarled all over everywhere because of Trump. I don't think they gave him this kind of escort when he was president. But I'll keep you posted. But for the time being, I'm waiting for, and I do want to bring the live report if I'm on the air at the time of his arraignment. It's scheduled to happen at 2:15. And Judge Mershon seems to be playing this thing real tight to the vest because the actual indictment, as far as I'm concerned, I could be a little behind the time because in my last hour I was doing the Trust in the Lord, which is a very powerful teaching. I need to get that out there for all of us to survive. But I don't know if the indictment has been unsealed as of yet. I don't know. I'll ask our program director whether it has been unsealed. If not, Judge Michon is playing this thing tight to the vest. Now, last night, he gave out his decision where several of the major news outlets had asked for an opportunity to be able to bring cameras into the courtroom. Well, he shut that down. They can bring their laptops and their phones into the courtroom, but they cannot use them in live settings. So that will not be any live photos of a live video, rather, of Trump pleading guilty or not guilty, whatever it is he's going to do. So I think it's very important that we understand how Judge Michon, and as soon as we discover if the document or the indictment, rather, has been unsealed, we will get to that. But right now, I want to take you back to yesterday's interview of Michael Cohen, who is a key figure in this event. Trump had sexual intercourse with this Stormy Daniels. Stephanie Clifford is her name, I think. And Michael Cohen arranged the hush money payment, $130,000. Understand, Playboy Playmate Karen McDougal got $150,000. So I wonder how Stormy Daniels feels about that. She got $20,000 less. But at any rate, I'm going to let you listen to this interview while we watch the monitor to see when Trump is brought into the criminal court building downtown on Center Street. But Mr. Engineer, bring that interview up yesterday with Michael Cohen and Ari Melber from MSNBC.
Michael, thanks for being back.
Good to be back, Ari.
I mentioned the three of you, if you will.
Sure.
Because two of you have paid a price. And here we are on the eve of the third of you, the person who was president, actually finally being indicted, something many people did not think would ever happen. You said it would happen. What do you think it means for the justice system to actually get to him, even if at this late date?
I'm sort of mixed in my emotions regarding this. Interestingly enough, most people wouldn't believe that. I believe it's important because it shows accountability regardless of your power or your position. Mm-hmm. But at the same point in time, I'm saddened, mostly because you're talking about a denigration of the office of the presidency of the United States of America. How foolish we look in the eyes of the world that a former president is now being indicted, had to fly, put on this entire charade, coming from Florida to New York with 8-9 different SUVs shutting down the Long Island, or this Van Wyck in order to get to New York, etc. For what? So that tomorrow he could appear for an arraignment. It's an embarrassment to the office of the presidency.
You wish he didn't do the things that created this legal exposure for himself?
Well, yes, for many different reasons, including my own.
Your own role.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
You look at this and you think, well, here we are, and everyone is coming at it initially with their perspective. There are people who've been rooting for Donald Trump's fall for a million reasons, and this is a reason they'll accept. Well, as you know, in the eyes of the law, that's not good enough.
Nope.
It has to be provable, and he will face the process. Then you have these people, and you, as you've told us, used to be in common cause with them, who will attack anything. They have no line. They have no floor. Insurrection, steal the election, end American democracy, racism, misogyny. There's no
take top secret documents. Go hide them in your office.
No floor. The question I have for you tonight, because I was thinking about having you back here, we've talked about, and we can get more into some of the details because I have legal questions for you, but big picture, I was thinking about those folks, and you know them. And I was thinking, they're here on the attack, and they are trying to, as they did with the insurrection, they're trying to confuse, trick, or lie to millions of people who might end up believing them, that this is out of the blue, that this is selective prosecution. Where did this come from? I'm wondering how you feel about that. If somebody says, oh, this is out of the blue, Mr. Weisselberg's in Rikers. Mr. Manafort served time. You served time. And while the cases are somewhat different, there is a trail of convictions, including the Trump org. Can you take seriously your former fellow travelers who say this is out of the blue?
No. Just a second. The Trump motorcade has reached the Brooklyn Bridge exit going into the Pearl Street region behind the courthouse. And so I'm going to ask the engineer if he could bring up the graphics of that. We'll get back to Michael Cohen in just a moment. The engineers could bring up the graphics of that where they are now. That's the Pearl Street exit. It's near the Brooklyn Bridge, the world famous Brooklyn Bridge. This Brooklyn Bridge exit, they're headed now, their first adjacent street is going to be Pearl Street. I'll see whether they'll make a right or left turn at Pearl Street, and where they will proceed from there. So we'll, Mr. Engineer, I don't know if we have a volume on that. Do we have any sound associated with that that particular video that we have? But they're led by a New York City police car, and they've got a ton of SUVs with red and blue lights blinking all over everywhere. So let's just bring up some sound and see where we are in New York City.
What we are about to see.
I think they're on Pearl Street at the moment.
Just 2 minutes.
Well, any minute now, Anderson, we expect to see the motorcade pull up, Donald Trump out of the SUV and enter the Manhattan DA's office, where he will be placed under arrest. He will be considered in custody. You can see the Secret Service agents here on the ground and the NYPD officers all lined up across here, just waiting for the motorcade to arrive. We can hear some helicopters now in the air over us, but it's at any minute now that we expect for the motorcade to arrive here and for the former president to be taken into custody and placed under arrest. It's just an incredible scene out here, Anderson. There are hundreds and hundreds of cameras just pointed at that door where they expect the former president to walk in, trying to get that shot of him walking into this building. And we now see one of the first officers arriving, and now we see the SUVs here pulling up, Anderson. And they are pulling up here now to the door.
Can you guys stand back?
And we see several of the SUVs here, Anderson, pulling up to the corner, and the former president, Donald Trump, is about to step out of this SUV and enter the Manhattan DA's office, where he will be placed under arrest. And here it is, from what we can see, a couple of the Secret Service agents now getting out of their cars here down the street on Hogan Place in front of the Manhattan DA's office.
And there he is.
And
waving at the crowd.
There he is. We can see him here, Anderson.
Donald Trump getting out of there.
And his back is to us, and we can see him slowly walking
Shimon,
in,
we have an
surrounded
over-the-head
by
shot
those
that we're
Secret
looking
Service
at now of the former president walking down with several of his Secret Service officers walking into the building. And Karen, you're saying as soon as he enters that building, he is technically under arrest?
Yes. He will be in the custody of the DA's office investigators, obviously with his Secret Service guard as well. And he will be told he is under arrest and he is in their custody at this time.
So at this moment at 1:24 p.m. Eastern Time, Donald J. Trump is under arrest?
Yes, he is.
He's going several floors up in this building to a district attorney's office where the detective squad is. There's a room there where the electronic machine that captures fingerprints electronically is there. Against one of the walls, there's a small cell. He will not be handcuffed. He will not be placed in the cell. They'll capture the prints and take the former president and his legal team to a room to wait where they may be able to read that indictment.
Will he see the cell?
He will. He will see the cell in the room where they do the print capture if they use the room they're planning to.
And as extraordinary as this all is, and as much as this is a spectacle, this is the same process that hundreds, if not thousands, of people go through every week in this very office. This is how our criminal justice system works. And you can see one of the challenges throughout this case for the DA, for the cops, for the courts, is going to be how to treat this as close to any normal case as humanly possible. We've seen some unusual, but I think reasonable accommodations with the potentially decision not to take a mugshot, and with the decision potentially not to handcuff him. But beyond that, it's a challenge for our legal system. How do we treat this like any other state of New York versus defendant?
So let's just go through the details on the process, traditionally the process, fingerprinting a mugshot. What will happen, what won't happen here?
So you'll have the fingerprinting. The mugshot.
Not actual fingerprinting with ink.
Not fingerprinting with ink. It's an electronic capture. You put your fingers down on it. It reads the prints, and it sends them electronically to Albany. Now, the purpose of that is to make sure that your prints are captured and that they run them in Albany to make sure you're not wanted in New York or somewhere else for another crime. That's a bit of a moot point here, but as Ellie said, they're trying to go as close to by the book as you can, given the circumstances here. Now, that's difficult.
But it also generates a rap sheet.
That's right. So it generates a rap sheet that he's been arrested, charged with a crime. He's assigned a NYSID number, New York State ID number, that he is an arrested felon at this point.
And Karen, you said when he walked in that building, and that's when he is technically under arrest, who is it who says to him, I don't know if they say, Mr. President or Mr. Trump, you are under arrest?
Well, the definition of arrest is you are in custody, right? Somebody's custody. And so in the moment that he walks in, he is in the custody of them. What the DA investigator will say the words, you're under arrest, and these are the charges against you, and ask him certain pedigree information unless that's already been pre-filled out or prearranged.
When you say pedigree information, what do you mean?
Name, address,
social
date
media.
of birth.
So John, I didn't know. I couldn't see. I looked like Secret Service was walking in. Is a lawyers accompany him in there? How many people get to go in that room with him? Is it one lawyer, two lawyers? It looked like there's a bunch of service members there, but I didn't see any.
So you've got
didn't look like staff.
You've got Secret Service, one member of the New York Police Department, one court officer.
Mr. Engineer, that we have the visual that we have. Can we pick up another visual? This seems to be, spending a lot of time on Hogan Street, looking down from north from Hogan Street. Why don't we take a break, and then while we're in break, we can try to figure out if we can get a better visual of what's taking place. If that is possible, it may just be that's the only hookup we can get based on the fact that we would have to borrow footage from PBS or something like that. But we're going to take a break. Take you to our young people. Let them razzle and dazzle you with their future desires, and we'll be right back.
When I grow up, I want to be a surgeon. I want to be a surgeon to help people. I want to be a doctor because I want to help people get well.
I would like to be a soccer player because that is my passion.
I want to grow up and open my own restaurant.
Okay.
I want to own my own bakery when I get older and travel, so I would like to branch out. Hopefully one of my bakeries is stationed in France and Italy.
I'm the president of Mali, and I would like to make Mali a better place.
Today, I'm an orthopedic, but in the future, I would like to own a hospital on my own.
In the future, I would like to be a civil engineer. For those of you who don't know, it falls under the branch of architecture.
I'm a designer, so I can make good clothes for everybody. And I'll make my own clothes, so I won't have to buy other people's clothes.
I'm a fashion designer, and I like to create clothing that makes people happy.
I overlook employees' work, what they're doing, where they're going. In international business, you travel all over the world, doing business deals, advertising your company. I do that.
What I want to be as an engineer specifically, I want to run a company that's half technical engineering and the other half will be structural engineering.
A video designer imagines almost everything about a game, including its plots, characters, visual designs, and layout.
I want to be a linguist because I want to learn different languages and just translate for different people.
Be a technician because it will be a fun experience and it will be a lot of fun.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Firefighter.
Why do you want to be a firefighter?
Because they put out fires in the city.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A fireman.
Why do you want to be a firefighter?
Because it take out fire. I want to be an artist when I grow up.
Why do you want to be an artist?
So I can make beautiful pictures.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a cooker.
Okay, you want to be a cook? Why do you want to be a cook?
Because I can cook stuff.
Broadway critic, as I said, what a critic is. Broadway, yeah, I go to the show, watch it. I read the playbill. It's over there. It's a book, and it has information about what the play is about.
All right, we're going to bring you back to live coverage of the arrest of Tribulation Trump, former President Trump, presidential candidate Donald John Trump. He's already in the criminal court building at 100 Center Street. I suppose he's going to be fingerprinted there. We don't have cameras on that floor as of yet, but when he's brought out of that area, from what I understand, that there will be cameras just before going into the courtroom. But I received an email. My program staff have forwarded this email to me, and I want to read it regarding, it says the subject matter is Trump's arrest, and it's from Karen. And it says, "Dear Pastor Banning, my name is Karen, and I live in Ohio near East Palestine, where a major train derailment took place. I first want to thank you for blessing me, even though yourself is going through hard times with foreclosure. You still were obedient to God to preach his message, and I believe that God will help you through this. I will continue to pray and give to your ministry. My husband has a great concern about Trump's indictments, and we would like to hear your input. My husband and I are black. My husband feels that Trump's indictment will cause a civil war between both black and white people because the Democratic Party keep pandering to blacks. But now we have 3 black appointees to indict Trump: Attorney General Letitia James, who's a black woman, Alvin Bragg, who is a black man, and another black woman in Georgia, which is Fannie Willis. So these 3 blacks she's referencing. They all in charge. Why now? Why couldn't they indict Trump before Alvin Bragg became district attorney? My husband thinks it's a conspiracy to start a war between Trump supporters and black people. Thank you so very much." Well, thank you, Karen, for writing and for raising the questions regarding this matter. They are 3. We made mention of that a couple of weeks ago, that the district attorneys and the attorneys that are bringing these criminal charges against Trump, one is 2 are black women, Letitia James, who's the attorney general here in the state of New York, and Fannie Willis, who is the district attorney for Fulton County and Atlanta, Georgia region, and of course, Alvin Bragg, who is the district attorney for Manhattan County here in New York City, where I now sit. Of course, then there's whether Merrick Garland will bring charges. We believe that he will, using Special Counsel Jack Smith, who is doing the investigation of Mar-a-Lago. But Karen's concern and her husband's concern is just the beginning of a war between black folk and Trump supporters. I do have to say this, Karen, that many black people are put into puppet positions. It has been alleged that George Soros financed the campaigning and paid for Alvin Bragg to become district attorney. Now, he had to do some campaigning, do some speaking. He's a Harvard graduate, okay. He's a lawyer. He's practiced law. But to get to that office, it took a lot of money. And George Soros, it's alleged. Now, I don't know it to be true, but George Soros was a billionaire, and he happens to be Jewish. Now, I'm not a Jew hater. Listen, Jesus is a Jew. There ain't no way I'm going to be hating Jews. But I do have to tell you there are many of them, like any other race of people, Irish or Chinese or black, can act in very ugly, criminal, and demonic ways. So I wanted to be able to say that is the case. Now, I also have to tell you that, right here now in New York City, you got a black mayor. His name is Eric Adams. He also, his office, his campaign financing, money he needed to run that campaign, and the millions and millions of dollars were given to him by Jews, mainly Jews, Orthodox Jews that are really rabbis and kabbalah leaders and believers in the Word of God, reading of the Tanakh, and worship of God as they understand it. But were it not for them, Eric Adams would be out there in Brooklyn somewhere, I don't know, but he wouldn't be mayor of the city of New York. But I don't believe that there's going to be a war between black folk and white MAGA people in particular. However, I do see the template here, Karen, and to your husband, of a civil war. In fact, we're already in a civil war. We're just in a technology age of the civil war that we're in at present. We're already in a civil war. And let me explain something to you. These black persons in public office are simply puppets. They are a smoke screen that to keep black people from looking down and looking at the truth of what's happening to black people. Because, Karen, black people are living worse now than they've ever lived in the history of the world. They're poor now. We have lost literally millions of black men to poverty, to imprisonment since Dr. King marched. Fathers, black children grow up without fathers. It's a miracle that any black people are yet alive, because black children, unlike Latinos or like Chinese or Jewish or others, have fathers. Black children grow up without fathers. 9 out of every 10 black child grows up without a father. And in addition to the fact that this is the worst life that black people have had, and it happens once the Civil Rights March. Now, what the puppet masters do, and George Soros is a puppet master, is they put people in office like Alvin Bragg and Eric Adams as shiny objects. So black people will look up from their shelters. They'll look up from sleeping on the street on cardboard. They will look up and say, "Well, we got a black mayor, but you are sleeping." It is a smoke and mirrors game, and it's sad. I don't mean that to be indifferent or ugly. Ain't nobody love the black man as much as I do. I love all God's people, black, white, or whoever. But I can tell you, he is too ignorant to see he's being played. He's too ignorant to see he's sleeping in the street. The black man is too ignorant to see that he's living in a shelter. He's too ignorant to see that he builds prisons. He's too ignorant to see that he's not a father to his children. All he looks up and say, "Oh, we got a black mayor in Houston. Oh, we got a black mayor in Chicago." He's too ignorant to see, but he ain't got no black man in the home. He's too ignorant to see all the black men are sleeping on the street or in prison, or the ones that are not sleeping on the street are pinch-nosed Negroes, who most of them are homosexuals and have no fidelity whatsoever, and they all run to the white neighborhood. I'm not a Zionist. I'm not a Jew hater. I said I'm a Zionist. I told a Jew that, and she got mad with me. But I love my Jewish brothers. I love my Jewish brothers. I do. But I have to tell you, not only has the black man filled the streets and filled the shelters, and he looks up at that shiny object, so, oh, we got a black district attorney, but you got 1 million black people sleeping in the street since Dr. King marched. Now, it wasn't like this for black people before Dr. King started that marching and carrying on. But the other thing is that, I said that many times Jewish people are puppet masters. You got good and bad people in every race. You got good Jews, you got bad Jews. You got good white folk, you got good black. You got good and bad everywhere. No doubt about that. No, people are the same no matter where you find them. But I can tell you this. The Jews that have puppet mastered the rap artists have turned young black thugs into young black thugs with a video camera and an opportunity to preach their virulent hatred and misogynism, their anger, their racism on YouTube and in public places and movies and everywhere, like Snoop Dogg and the Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight and all the rest, 50 Cent and all of them. This would have never happened. The white man would have never, the Japheth man would have never paid black folk to cuss out black people and cuss out America the way they do. But, and again, I'm a Zionist. I'm not against my Jewish, but you got some bad Jews. You got some people that are just bad everywhere. Jewish people know you got bad Jews. But it's the Jewish people that finance that vulgar rap music industry. Got that. I've been telling everybody, that boy Jay-Z put that video out there called Big Pimpin', and everywhere you look, a camera had the iris of the camera was on some black woman's rear end, on her butt crack, and on her gap of her legs, in bathing suits on a great big old yacht, Big Pimpin' Champagne. Well, can't you just see, don't you know, Jay-Z is the biggest pimp that ever lived. That boy is the biggest pimp, and when he wrote Big Pimpin', that's what he meant. He's the biggest pimp that ever lived. But you have to understand also, he's a pimp, and his wife is a whore. Beyonce is the biggest whore you ever seen. Listen, and there's a segment that of dance she was doing where she was doing what Sarah Catherine McFadden called the dog, where she put her hands on her knees and she bends over and she puts her butt out there and she got on a little, skimpy little outfit that shimmers, and she doing the dog. Years ago, Karen, and I'm going to be through with this. Years ago, down in North Carolina, I used to go to the 1880 Club. That's the way everybody hang out, the juke joints. 1880, blind, crippled, or crazy, you can come. 1880. And Rufus Thomas did a lot of songs. Rufus Thomas did the song called The Funky Chicken. But he did one much earlier called The Dog. And that young girl, Sarah Catherine McFadden, she was about 16 years old. That girl she could put her hands on her knees and stick her butt out and just pump her butt and she's like, I don't know, maybe a foot from the floor, and she just pumping that butt, and everybody watching her. She wiggling that butt, turning that thing. Well, that Beyonce does it better than her. Jay-Z's a pimp, and his wife is a whore. But they've allowed the music industry, the Jewish money, and I'm not against Jews. I love my Jewish brother. Please don't misunderstand me, please. To cause black folk. So they're looking up and seeing a black mayor, so-called black president, so-called black Supreme Court justice, and they can't see themselves sleeping in the street. I swear you ain't never seen nobody as ignorant, as blind, but God has made them blind. They can't see themselves, they're sleeping in the street, but they look up and see a black president. We ain't see no black president. They saw a white man claiming the black president. Look up and see a black judge, they look up and see a black mayor, but they can't see that ain't no fathers in the home. Black children are raised without fathers. They're raised with mothers only. And it ain't never been like this. Before Dr. King March, every child, 9 out of every 10 families had a father in the home. And the reason why the father wasn't there, he was dead, died in the army or something. But now it's 9 out of 10 homes don't have a black father. So I don't think this is going to be a race riot between black folk and white folk. But I do think it's going to be, you're going to see a civil war between what we refer to as the liberals, the LGBTQ alphabet, trannies, and those people that worship blackness. And I think white people, Jewish, liberal white people, use black people. I swear, I've been around long enough to see black people were treated better as slaves by Southern whites than they are now by liberal whites like Joe Biden and others. So I know that's a long answer, but listen, let me get back to I think Trump's getting ready to step out of that room where they fingerprinted him. Let's see if we can pull that. Mr. Engineer, can you pull that up? And we want to see that take place if it has not already taken place while I was going through that segment there.
Sort of get plugged into this system, and it just goes, and you have no control. You just sort of float along with it.
Adam, do you have the TV screen in the room where you are? I'm not sure if you can see these images that we're seeing. If you can tell us what hallway this is specifically.
Well, I can't say. I heard earlier the 15th floor. I think that Judge Merchan is on the 15th floor. I can't remember, but that could be a shot of any one of a dozen floors in the criminal court building. They all look more or less identical. Sort of this old 1920s marble with big ornate doors, a little bit run down. That's the New York criminal court building.
All right, Adam Kaufman, former prosecutor with the DA's office. Thank you so much for your time. Anderson?
Thanks, Jake.
Thanks. Caitlin Collins is on the 15th floor. What you're looking at is the 15th floor. Caitlin, explain where you are, what we are seeing. It looks like there's some detectives or Secret Service there in the background.
Yeah, it looks like a mix of both, Anderson. Obviously, this is as they are bracing for Trump to come in. I should note that we went through 2 levels of security to get here ourselves, and you can see there are officers lining the hallway, several barricades as well, and they've got us in a barricade pushed against the wall. We are told Trump will come over through that door that you can see there, the black door with the aluminum awning or aluminum lining around it. We are told that is the door Trump is going to be coming through and then going into that to go into the courtroom where he will be before the judge, obviously the judge that he has been attacking. And so we have not seen the former president make it to the 15th floor yet. Our belief is he is still on the 7th floor right now. But he is expected to be up here any moment now. And we are told, Anderson, he is going to come before the cameras to deliver a brief statement. That is according to one of his attorneys, Chris Kise. He has been wanting to speak to the media about his indictment ever since he arrived here in New York yesterday. He had not actually done so. He went straight to Trump Tower. We are told he wants to talk to the cameras. We'll see if he does make his way over here when he arrives onto the 15th floor of the criminal court building.
And Caitlin, just quickly, the blacked out doors, where do they go? Is that where and where is the courtroom that the former president will be going to?
So it's not exactly clear. It's not exactly clear which door is the courtroom and which door is the one that Trump enters. He's going to come into one of those on that side of the hallway, though, and those 2 double doors into the courtroom. That is where he is going to be arraigned before the judge.
Got it.
In a few moments.
All right, Caitlin, thank you. Stand by. Here with John Miller and Karen Agnifilo, also Ellie Honig. Explain the 15th floor. Caitlin was saying he's on the 7th floor right now. John, you raised the question of his Miranda rights. Karen, is he given his Miranda rights?
He probably will be, just to remind him not to say anything, not to blurt anything out, and just in case he does say anything, the prosecutors will want to use that potentially at trial. They would want to have made sure that his Miranda warnings are read, because the Miranda warnings are triggered not just from an arrest, but if you're in custody and you're being interrogated and being asked questions. So they'd want to be very technical and by the book.
That's got to be an extraordinary moment for a former president of the United States to have a court officer, a former detective or current detective working for the DA's office, reading his Miranda rights to him.
There's got to be kind of an out-of-body experience for the investigator to say, Mr. President, you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney.
I can tell you, if you've never been arrested, which most of you never have been, they have a electronic fingerprint now where you don't have to do the ink roll job. You just put your hand there and it'll send it to the FBI instantly. Well, my fingerprints are filed away in some little glassine envelope down in Washington, D.C. right now as I speak. But it is an unsettling experience to be arrested. To have your freedom taken, and you know you can't break out of where you are right then and there, and you don't know what lies ahead of you. Now, a lot of people get arrested very often. For them, it's pretty routine. But the first time it happens to you, and I have to tell you, no matter how much bravado Trump has been known for in his days, this is a very unsettling, and he's not sure which way the wind is going to blow. One of the things that that Trump may be considering right now, are people going to actually see this and finally say, enough of Trump is enough? I think we need to move on. He's no more than a common criminal now. And he hasn't been convicted of any crime as of yet, and he's presumed innocent until found guilty by a jury of his peers. Let me be clear about that. But I think that if you want to know what's going on in Trump's mind right now, is which way is the wind going to blow? Is this going to demote him? Are people finally going to see this and say, enough is enough? You know, I mean, you could spin it any way you want to spin it. I think that Trumpism is going to be around for a while, not because of this arrest, but because the divide in this nation is so great between the culture, the Democrats and their liberal ideas. They have gone off of the chain on this business of tranny and LGBTQ, teaching children and having drag shows. This is so uncommon. But I have to tell you that the Republicans have gone off in terms of their response, have allowed themselves so they don't get caught up in being dominated by the Democrats and their liberal, demonic, devil ideas, satanic ideas. They've given themselves over to an alternative, which is Trump. Trump, for all of his 77 years of living, has always been a bad boy. Trump has never been a saint. He's never been good to nobody but Trump, and everybody knows it. Even his children know it. Trump has always been a con man. He has always been a liar. He's always been a showboat. Trump ain't never been good to nobody but Trump, but he's gotten away with it. But I think that people are making a decision right now that if they don't have Trump, there's nobody in the Democrat Party, including Ron DeSantis, that can prevent nobody in the Republican Party, I say Republican Party, there's nobody in the Republican Party who has the strength to protect them from the Democrat. Listen, I live here in Harlem, New York City, and but by the grace of Almighty God, you don't know what it is to live among these people here, both black and white, in New York City. You don't know what that's like. Most people can't even conceive of how on earth do I exist when you live among the ignorance and the cultural degradation, the anti-God that people here in New York worship on a daily basis, and yet I live. But Trump's mind right now is not what the indictment's going to be about. What he wants to know, will today be a death knell for him? Will that happen? Will that happen? And we'll have to see. I'm not going to make any prognostications, but that's what he's thinking about right now. If he's down on the 7th floor of the building, they're going to bring him up on the elevator, and they're going to bring him into the courtroom. Judge Michon is going to have to preside over this. There have been death threats all over everywhere. But Trump wants to know, will I survive? Will I survive? And, you know, Howard Stern said something 10 years ago. Was it 10 years ago? I don't know how many years ago it was. 6 years ago, that Trump should have never ran for president. That's the last thing he should have ever done. And what Howard Stern was trying to say is that Trump does not have the demeanor to be president. If he does, he's going to go to jail. And he's right. But the other thing I think about Trump and about people that support him, Michael Cohen, who was his private attorney, went to jail. Paul Manafort, who was once his campaign manager, went to jail. Alan Weisselberg, who worked for his father for years, went to jail. Even Roger Stone was getting ready to go to jail. A lot of people around Trump have been convicted and went to jail. That has never happened anywhere with any president at any time, not even in some of the other more third world, if you will, banana republics do that many people around the president go to jail. Everybody who Trump has touched has gone to jail. And now it looks like Trump is on his way. But I'll say this, that had he not become president, he'd still be doing what he was doing. And but this is, and then I have to put this in the context. A lot of people don't want to hear this, that we're in the tribulation. And these are the kinds of events that we need to see how the world is crumbling beneath our feet. And that it won't be much longer now for even more evil things to take place. It ain't over with. So we'll see as to whether or not this will cause Trump to slide or to gain. But right now, I'll have to tell you, he's gaining in the polls. He's got over 30 points higher now than Ron DeSantis. He's at 55%, and Ron DeSantis is at 26%, and Pence and all them other cowards, they don't even, not even on the radar screen. But this is very interesting. But I'm going to have to wrap it up here now at this moment. And we'll see what happens tonight when he flies back down to Mar-a-Lago and see what his speech will be in terms of how he has interpreted all of what's happening. And but we're in, I don't know if we're in uncharted waters, but we certainly are in the tribulation. And you're going to find out, see that more definitively in the day and times to come. I'm James Everett Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant, and you've been listening to the Manning Report.